Have you ever felt a chill creep up your spine when you're all alone in your house? Picture a serene house, nestled in a tranquil neighborhood, where the laughter of children mingles with the soft chirping of birds. This house is the new abode of the Johnsons, a family brimming with excitement about their fresh start. The mother, vibrant and warm-hearted, the father, strong and caring, and their two children full of life and innocence. The house, with its white picket fence and blooming garden, was a beacon of peace and tranquility. It was a place where dreams were supposed to come true, where happy memories were meant to be made. The Johnsons were blissfully unaware of the ominous future that lay within these seemingly benign walls. They moved in, filled with joy and anticipation, oblivious to the fact that their lives were about to change forever. It was just a house, or so they thought. The family started to experience some odd occurrences that they couldn't quite explain. It began subtly, almost imperceptibly. The house, with its worn-out charm and echoes of the past, started to hum with an unfamiliar energy. The wooden floorboards creaked under no weight. The wind howled through the sealed windows, and shadows danced in the corners where light refused to touch. Murmurs of conversation, whispers of a language not quite known, seeped through the walls in the dead of the night. A silence would descend, only to be broken by the clattering of utensils in the deserted kitchen, or the soft, eerie lullaby that seemed to originate from nowhere and everywhere at once. The family chalked it up to the quirks of an old house, rationalizing the noises as the wooden structure settling into its own rhythm. The inexplicably chilling drafts that swept through the halls, even on the warmest of days, were another matter. They blamed it on faulty insulation, promising to get it checked. Yet the chill seemed to seep into their bones, a cold reminder of their unease. Objects would mysteriously move from their original place, only to be found in the most unlikely of locations. A favorite book would vanish from the shelf, later to be discovered in the attic, or a cherished family photo would find its way from the mantel to the cellar. The family laughed it off, joking about forgetfulness and the chaos of their daily lives. Then there were the footsteps, soft but distinct, pacing the hallway in the early hours, when the world outside was still shrouded in the blanket of night. The family convinced themselves it was the house's old plumbing, echoing its complaints through the silent corridors. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, the rational explanations began to wear thin. The strange occurrences, initially dismissed as mere peculiarities, were now constant, relentless reminders of the unseen. The laughter faded, replaced by hushed conversations and shared, uneasy glances. The house, once a sanctuary, felt alien, its familiarity tainted by the inexplicable. Yet the unease was growing. The house no longer felt like home. It wasn't just the strange events. There was something else, something unseen. A chill that creeps up your spine when you're all alone. The feeling of eyes on you from darkened corners, from the creaky attic, from the depths of the dimly lit basement. An unseen watcher, a silent observer, a presence that lurks in the shadows. This was the eerie sensation that took hold of the family living in the house. It was more than just a feeling. It was a certainty, a dread that gnawed at them with relentless persistence. Each member, whether young or old, started to feel a distinct unease, a prickling sense of fear that was hard to shake off. The once warm and inviting house had become a cold, forbidding fortress, its walls echoing with a menace that was intangible yet palpable. The youngest, a bubbly little girl who once chased butterflies in the garden, now clung to her mother, her eyes wide with fear. The grandfather, a war veteran who had faced death on the battlefield, found himself waking up in the middle of the night, his heart pounding, his skin slick with cold sweat. The mother, a woman known for her bravery and resilience, felt a shiver of terror whenever she was alone. They began to confide in each other, sharing their experiences, their fears. The shadows that seemed to shift, the whispers that seemed to echo when there was no one around, the footsteps when the house was supposed to be empty. Each tale was a confirmation, a validation. They were not alone in their fear. They were not imagining things. There was something in the house, something unseen, something that watched, waited, and lurked in the darkness. This unseen presence, this entity that had invaded their home, was not a benign spectre. It was malevolent, an unwelcome intruder that reveled in their fear, that fed on their terror. The family could feel it, a dark force that was growing stronger, that was closing in on them. This unseen presence was making itself known, and it was not friendly. The family decided to seek answers, but were they ready for the truth? Desperate for an explanation, the family turned to a paranormal investigator, a professional who dealt with the inexplicable, the unseen, the unexplained. The investigator, a seasoned veteran in the field, began to delve into the house's history, unearthing a past that would send shivers down the spine of even the bravest soul. The house, it turned out, was not just an ordinary structure of bricks and mortar. It was a silent witness to a series of horrifying events, a repository of dark secrets and unspeakable horrors. The investigator revealed a history marred by grisly deaths and unexplained events that could make the blood curdle. The first owners, a wealthy couple from the late 18th century, met their untimely end within these very walls, their lives snuffed out under mysterious circumstances. The next few decades saw a string of unfortunate inhabitants, each meeting a more gruesome end than the last. Unnatural illnesses, inexplicable accidents, and chilling instances of madness painted a terrifying picture. The family listened, horrified, as the investigator detailed each incident. The laughter of children that echoed in the halls, the footsteps in the empty rooms, the whispers in the night, they all began to make a horrifying sense. The house was not just their home, it was a monument to horror, a place where the veil between the living and the dead was thin and porous. The investigator concluded his revelations, leaving the family in stunned silence. The walls around them no longer felt safe. The rooms no longer felt familiar. The house they thought they knew, the house they once loved, was a house of horror. It was a chilling realization, their worst fears confirmed. The house they once loved was a house of horror. They had to confront this haunting presence. It was fight or flight. In a house that should have been a sanctuary, a family found themselves in a chilling standoff. A spectre, unseen but far from unfelt, had turned their home into its playground. It was a confrontation that was as silent as it was terrifying. A battle not against flesh and blood, but against a force that defied the laws of the physical world. With a courage born of desperation, the family decided to reclaim their home. They chose to stand their ground, to fight against the haunting presence. This was not just about a house anymore. It was about their lives, their sanity. It was a battle they could not afford to lose. They turned to the old ways, the forgotten methods. They performed a cleansing ritual, a rite passed down through generations. They filled the house with the scent of sage and the resonance of prayer. Every room, every corner, every shadowy nook was bathed in the purifying smoke in a desperate bid to drive the entity away. The tension was palpable, the air heavy with suspense. The house seemed to breathe with them, its walls echoing their heartbeats. The entity fought back, its anger and resistance manifesting in chilling bursts of cold and inexplicable noises. But the family stood strong. They held hands, their voices rising in a chorus of defiance. They were united, their resolve unbroken. Moments of high tension came and went, each one more intense than the last. But through it all, the family held their ground. They faced the unseen entity head-on, their voices unwavering, their spirits unbroken. The battle was long and grueling, but they did not falter. They fought with everything they had, their love for each other and their home fueling their determination. It was a struggle that tested their strength, their courage, and their faith. But they did not back down. They did not give in. They were not going to let this entity take away their home. The confrontation was over, but was the horror truly gone? The house, once a stage for inexplicable and eerie happenings, had returned to a semblance of normalcy. The whispers of the wind had ceased to carry sinister undertones. The shadows no longer danced with phantom figures. The family who had braved this storm of supernatural terror felt a sense of victory. Yet there was a wariness that lingered, a silent acknowledgement that their home had once been a playground for forces beyond understanding. The experience had left them scarred, their nights no longer serene, their days no longer carefree. Each creak of the floorboards, each flicker of the lights, Each gust of wind became a reminder of the terror they had faced. They had survived, yes, but the memory of the horror had seared itself into the very fabric of their home. They had survived the horror, but the memory of it would forever linger in their home.